So let's introduce the first person you're going to interview tonight. We're going to each one at a time. Congresswoman Cathy McMorris Rodgers is coming to join us. And Cathy, will you come out and say hi to us? So when I first brought up this crazy idea to do this, Cathy was the first person to say yes. So I'm going to leave it to you guys.
Hi. I'm working. Am I working? You are working as well. First of all, Cathy, welcome. It's just nice to share space with you. We've known each other for a significant amount of time. We will not name the number of years. So, not necessary. You guys can look at the bios. You can tell our age from that. So, Cathy, tell me about leadership, being a mom, how that really impacts your role.
Thank you for that question. And some of you will remember when I was first elected to Congress, I was single, 35. Not sure, but
I'm just going to say, note to self, 35, do that.
And yes, and not sure if I was going to get married, not sure if I was going to have kids at that point. And certainly for me, becoming a mom has been the best thing that has happened in my life. I'm so grateful to be a mom. And I contend that there needs to be more moms on Capitol Hill. That perspective is really important. And we've had 3 kids. I married a Spokane kid, boy, or a man.
I'm married.
I'm married. Brian Rodgers, who grew up here. Let's go there. And we've had 3 kids. And our oldest, who's now a freshman in high school, Cole, was born with Down syndrome. It's an extra 21st chromosome, the most common chromosome abnormality. And I just know I'm so grateful to be a mom. I'm grateful to be married, be a wife, and having our 3 kids. Cole has made me a better person, a better legislator in particular. But being a wife and mom, I think has made me even a better legislator, understanding the challenges of being a working mom.
Amen. I have to say, I work in a world with special needs. And it really takes special people to work in that environment and to raise them. So would you say, as a legislator, that you lead with love first and then legislate?
Yes. That's the goal.
That is the goal. I think a lot of us realize that if we don't love, especially as women, love usually comes first for us, and then everything else comes second. So I heard that lead with love and then legislate, and really can get a better outcome if you follow that track for going forward.
Sure, and especially at a time when we become so quick to tear each other down and point out the fault. I think it's really important, and as a mom, I'm forever telling my kids, you just keep loving. You keep giving hugs, you keep encouraging, your friends and others at school or whatever it is. We need more of that. We need more encouragement. And I know tonight is about women. We're our own worst critic. We're always like critiquing. And yes, and to lead with love, I think is really important as a mom. I'm reminded of that every day, the importance of that. We need that.
I'll tell y'all something right now. I love all of y'all, ain't nothing you can do about it. So there.
Let's add someone to this party. Senator Maria Cantwell, could you come and join us? So you know, if you all were watching the Gonzaga game last night, that there was a moment when you were on TV. You looked great.
Anyone? So, Senator, as chair of the Committee on Commerce, you led the CHIPS bill through the Senate. How will this impact women?
Well, thank you for that. First of all, it's great to be here in Spokane, which I love Spokane. And I think that the CHIPS and Science Bill is the story about the next phase of America and how we need more women in science. So it's great to be here with Anne McClain, who's going to come out and join us in a little bit and talk about one particular science mission. I'm guessing is going to come up. But the CHIPS and Science Bill, I was looking at, first of all, my condolences to the Williams family. Losing Sandy is such a tragic thing, but reading the story of her mom and her accomplishments reminded me of a colleague that we just honored last week, Bernice Johnson. These are two women who wanted to be in science careers, literally lived in segregated states, so they had to travel to non-segregated states just to get their nursing degrees. And so here we are today with shortages across every sector of the sciences, and we need more women. We can't have 50% of society sitting it out. We need them to help us. So the CHIPS and Science Bill specifies $45 million for universities, institutions, to help increase the number of degrees for women in science. I was just up in Stevens County, and I saw some Kettle Fall women engineers up there, and they were ready to get it done, the robotics team from Kettle Falls. And, you know, the notion that we just need to give people an opportunity. Betty Bernice and Sandy's mom really believed in what they could do in science, but now we need to make it even easier than it's been in the past, and look at the great contributions that we're going to get out of those women.
That's really exciting. I heard something that resonated with me just last week. So representation is the lens through which we dream. So I can't see somebody who looks like me. It's hard for me to dream of myself in that space. And even though we can see others around us, what does that look like? So to see Anne when she comes out, or to see Wilhelmina Williams, for young people, girls, but young people, period. How do they dream is because they see it and they go, I want to do that too. So I think that's really important. In the world of the science field, is there anything else that's coming down that could support? We all know we talk about STEM a lot. And I don't want that to get lost because we just say that like a flip word. Oh, we're in the STEM field. And I don't think we really realize how critical that is to women and minorities, the future of now and the future of our country as we go forward.
Well, we're just not going to be competitive as a nation if we don't have women join the effort. And I think that's, yeah. And let's have these women lead on so many ideas. I worked in software for 5 years, and I can tell you we didn't have enough women in that particular field, but I probably never would have thought about that field either. So we have to, I know Anne's mom is here, she was a teacher in the sciences. We have to get the educators, and we have to, as you said, so the University of Washington decided they needed more women in their engineering school, so they changed all the professors, or most of them, to be women, and they had a huge increase in the number of students from women, because as you said, Betsy, they saw people that looked like them, and they said, oh, we can do that.
Absolutely. And y'all may not know this, but women relate differently to each other, and how we support and how we encourage. There is a strength amongst women, men have it too, but I can only speak for myself as a female, is that we nurture differently. And I think that's critical. We have to actually see people first
let's
More
bring
questions
one
to
more.
come.
So we like to bring out a Spokane, born and bred, Anne McClain. We went to and I said, so we really overcovered Gonzaga basketball. And you are the Gonzaga basketball of science, so we really overcovered you. And when she was at the space station, she literally subscribed to the Spokesman-Review. And I was horrified because we can't deliver this downhill. So, and she asked today, how should I dress? Like an astronaut.
I just want to get this kid in the rock. You really can't get us out there when it snows here. So, all of that. First of all, Anne, welcome. And I have to tell you, the three of us are super excited that you're on the stage with us. We were saying, you can sit elected every day if you want to, but you don't get to see an astronaut every day and share this type of space. So thank you for being here. Let's give her a So, Anne, we all deal with biases, but how do you deal with it as a leader?
Well, thank you for the introduction, Rob, and thank you for the question. You guys might get to deal with all that labors every day, but I don't. So I was very excited when I said, I get to sit on the stage with you, I won't be there. So thanks for having me. Bias. So I think at first it's important to understand what bias is. So most of us have heard that word, and most of us probably go, you know what, I'm not biased. But here's the thing, bias is something in our mind, preconceived notions in our mind that exist whether we want them there, whether we believe them or not, and they're put there without our permission, through media, through society, through all these different cues. And no matter, even if we recognize that we have a bias, we can't not have a bias just by recognizing it. If I handed you a kaleidoscope and I said, when you look through this, the image is going to be distorted, it's going to be upside down. I can tell you that 100 times, but when you look through, what do you still see? You still see a distorted image. That's bias. Okay, so there's two ways that I've come as a leader to fight bias in my organizations. Number one is paying attention to who my inner circle is. So inner circles are the people that have the closest access to their leaders, right? So I want you to think about, in whatever organization you're at, church, school, teams, your job, your families, think about your inner circle, your staff. Who's sitting around the table when you're making decisions? Okay, and what do they look like? What are their backgrounds, ages, gender, color? Okay? For those of you that are saying, oh, my staff, we're pretty diverse, that's not your inner circle. Okay? You have a crisis, your staff handles it. Your inner circle are the people that after your staff clears out and handles that crisis are the two people that are still sitting in your office that you say, ooh, how do we do? That's your inner circle. Okay? And in order to fight bias, you have these blind spots, we have these blind spots, that the only way to fight them is to surround ourselves with an inner circle that has a different bias. They have different blind spots. And then we have to trust those people when they tell us things. And then the second way is through our policies. We have to unbias our organizations intentionally. That starts with selection, understanding that even just the way we put out a job description will change who applies to that position. It's been shown that if you select one person at a time, you're more likely to not have diversity in your organization. But if you batch your selections, you select 5 people at a time, you're more likely to seek out diversity. It comes in our performance evaluations. Performance evaluations are usually 2 parts, right? Performance and potential. It's been shown that performance is usually pretty fairly evaluated. But when you take the highest performer evaluations in your organization, you look at the write-ups for potential, that's where bias comes in. Okay, so men, women, non-binary, all these different people, great recommendations, but they potential might be different. It comes with how we allocate work. We give work we are biased in the way that we assign work, so where you can, let people opt into work. You have 50 tasks to do instead of assigning them out. Put them out and see who comes forward and opts in. And then data. You just have to pay attention. You have to pay attention to the policies that you put in and what are the intentional and unintentional consequences.
Absolutely, so I will say. And I have to say, probably the most important conversation about bias is around our dinner table. That's where some of the hard work really happens, because that's a safe space for most of us, is at our own dinner table. So I can tell my relative, most of them, how I really feel, and they're still my relatives. So I have to applaud these women because in their own right, they are bias fighters and they are barrier busters. So let's give them a hand clap for that. I didn't say ball busters. I said barrier busters, but they could be one and the same thing. Just depends on the conversation. So I want to ask you a little bit about empathy and relationships. Do male networks look different than the networks women have? Anyone can answer that.
Well, I think if you just look at the people that you're honoring tonight, and you look at what they decided to do. They saw a gap somewhere, whether it was the foster program, whether it was taking care of veterans, whether it's just giving empathy through knitting together and creating a circle. People picked up and created something that wasn't being addressed. Probably nobody bestowed it on them. Nobody came and knocked on their door. They saw a need and they went and answered it. I think that's very what I see a lot of women doing, and it's great. It's great that they will step out and just step up and solve the problem.
Absolutely. Thank you, women. All of our awardees tonight. Thank you for stepping into a space where you saw a need. A lot of other people didn't see it, or if they did, they didn't act on it. And so I think women take action to move forward in those spaces without looking for the recognition. Cathy, you pick up your mic. What do you have to say?
Well, I was going to add, and I too want to say congratulations to all the women that are being honored tonight. And I agree that women, when they see a need, a lot of times they want to get involved and actually get results, as you just said, Betsy. And I was thinking about trying to recruit women at different times to run for office. And it was such a different conversation that I had when I was talking to another woman about running for office versus a man. Nearly every man that I might have a conversation with, they were like very quick to say, "Oh yes, I want to run. Where do I sign up? Yeah, I'm ready." And it was interesting with the women. A lot of times it was this conversation around their family and their community activities, but they also wanted to know, like, am I really going to be able to make a difference? Is this something that is worth giving my time to and pouring myself into? And it was just a very different conversation, and they wanted to know that. They wanted to really, they wanted to be focused on something that's going to make a difference for their family, for their community. Sometimes a little different. I'm not saying the men aren't. It's just a little different approach that women do.
Absolutely. It's fascinating because even when I was asked, it's like, really? There are a lot more qualified women out there that could run for office and do a great job. So we always kind of put ourselves down like, are we the one? Surely there must be somebody else who could do the job better. And then it's like, no, you're the one. And I say for us, for such a time as this is why we're all here, doing this work. It's just our time.
But it's also exciting to see women in our country doing, breaking new ground and reaching new heights. I often think about my mom, who I remember her telling me that when she was deciding what she wanted to do, she kind of felt like it was either be a teacher or a nurse. It was one generation, right? And she had a full ride scholarship to go to college at Oregon State, it was teacher school at that point. She dropped out her freshman year when her dad passed away. And she regretted it her whole entire life. She dropped out of school. And yet, and she raised me very different. Like, Kathy, you can be anything you want to be. You gotta get that education. She wanted me to go to college because that was her dream for me and my brother, that we would go to college. But it's just, it's really, I think it's noteworthy and really something to celebrate how women are leading in every sector. And I often reflect that I was the 200th woman ever elected to the House of Representatives out of 11,000. Okay, and I share that because it underscores how it's still relatively new. It was just 100 years ago that we gained the right to vote, but that's all part of this search for a more perfect union, and that search continues today. We continue that search for a more perfect union, but it's exciting to see women now in space. And women, yes, from Spokane. And we love the dress tonight. Can't beat it. But to Kathy's point, to your question, Betsy, that this next phase, so Kathy's right, I think I'm the 38th woman in the history of our country. So like 200, almost 250 years. And we got 38 women in the United States Senate. And so we've got a ways to go. We're only 24%. We're 50%, at least of the population, we're only 24% of that body. But instead of Kathy's mom now just saying, okay, well, it's either nursing or teaching, we want to say there's so many aspects of what we need. We want to see a woman in all of these roles. We want you to think, and so that's why we're so excited about what Anne is doing, because she is going to put a face to, an image to, what someone can accomplish in something that, I don't know, that people ever gave much thought to, the fact that the background and preparation in science that it would take to complete this mission. So I can't wait, because I just want you to excite every young girl in the United States of America to think about what barriers they may break. Absolutely. Yeah, if I could add on that. Wow, first of all, diversity is naturally occurring, right? Like the gamut of smart people, there's diverse. The gamut of good pilots, the gamut of good nurses, the gamut of good leaders, diversity is naturally occurring. So when we have a lack of diversity, it's because there's a barrier somewhere, right? And so we think about this a lot in astronaut selection. Like if we cast the net and we only get one type of person applying, then there's a problem with our net. There's a problem with how we're selecting. There's a barrier somewhere that we're not seeing. And so if you look at your organization that lacks diversity, you can't just shrug your shoulders. You have to go left and go, where's the barrier that I'm not seeing? So you have teed it up exactly correctly, but the people just before, I had this profound realization when I was in space, that if I was born just 10 years prior to when I would have not had the same opportunities that I had. I did have the opportunity to walk through these doors, but those doors were opened by other women that did not accept the status quo. There are still closed doors to parts of our society that all of us have a responsibility to open those doors to those underprivileged communities, our LGBT, transgender rights. We have to open the doors for other people.
So, Rob just gave me a piece of paper.
It's because we're getting questions from the audience and from high school students, so I'm trying to get a message to them up there. Because you weren't getting it telepathically.
That was your skill set.
You should give me my space helmet. So, Anne, the question is, talk to us about unfair characterizations of women in leadership. We did label, and I'm going to ask the rest of the other two as well that question.
Yeah, I think this is probably something everybody's run across. I talked about those evaluations, and when leadership has long been represented in and therefore defined by male characteristics. But when we, today's day and age, leaders it's looked a little bit differently, right? Like even in the military, we're really talking about we can't have these toxic leaders. We need to have, leaders that are self-aware, that are in touch with their people, that are leading with empathy. And some of these traits, when you really think about them, like naturally associated with more feminine, with women, right? And so we actually bring traits that make us inherently great leaders that lead with empathy. And when we try to, and I think for a long time we're kind of in this transition phase where a lot of women, we have this picture of what a strong leader looks like, and so we go to be that strong leader. And even if we do this exact same thing as a man, it can be taken very differently. She has something to prove, right? I had a conversation recently with another Army officer who told me about briefing a female general, and she went and gone to this briefing, and his team wasn't quite prepared, and he was like, man, she let us up. She really had something to prove. And I said, did she? I said, I don't think that a female general had anything to prove to you. Other than when you go brief a general, you should probably be prepared.
Well, we have a little joke in the Senate. We say when TV cameras come, there are two kinds of senators. One that runs to put their hair, and makeup on, and then there's the women. That's just a little way, again, to go back to the nominees. Again, I just think the skill set that Anne mentioned, it's like we are very good at identifying problems. Very good at identifying problems. It's almost like we are more encompassing of, well, who is affected by the problem? Who's this being, where's the challenge to these individuals? And we see that picture clearly. And I think that's again why people just go out and then do the solution. And I think what we need now is a little more collaboration. We need our problems are going to be solved because people collaborate, not because somebody dictates or not because somebody. We just have too much information in the information age to make it something that's dictated. But we have a lot of projects in our state that we've been able to accomplish. The Yakima Basin is an example where people who totally disagreed came together, and now because there's information and they can get around the table and they can have this discussion, they basically can move forward, and they did in this particular case as part of our state. I think women are, I'm not saying men aren't collaborative, but I do think women come to that table a little more open to who's affected, where's the problem, how do we solve it, and I hope that we can broaden the horizon with other people and show that women are very good collaborators. And I think that's what's, I see that in the Senate today.
We need both. And I think it's, as women, I know that they've done some work, or they've done some analysis of women in elected office, and women, we approach politics different than men do. We generally are better listeners, more collaborative, work across the aisle, not as focused on who's going to get the credit, more focused on wanting to actually get things done, bipartisan, looking for the common ground. And I think those are all good qualities. I think those are qualities that are helpful to our outcomes and qualities that are going to help on Capitol Hill, and that's part of why I've been encouraging more women to run and get involved in politics. But I think it's really, I think women bring these, kind of naturally bring some of these qualities that people are looking for right now in a representative government, and you need both. It's important for us to really celebrate what everyone is contributing and the roles that they're playing in a whole host of ways to build stronger families.
So your one takeaway tonight, collaboration is not a curse word. It is not a dirty word. It is absolutely essential for us to move our community forward because not one group, male or female, has the entire answer. Now, I have to say a little bit fair characterization of women. When we are strong, we are labeled. And I think that's something that's an ongoing uphill battle. So when you hear that, just because Kathy's strong doesn't mean she has two horns and a tail. That is true leadership. So I think as a society, we have to not accept those labels that are placed on us when we show up in spaces where we have to really step in and speak up as women. No, I cannot be home baking cookies. I don't bake cookies, I bake pound cakes. So, just so you know. So I think, and women have realized we can't do that to each other. I think that has been our big awakening. It's like, it's one thing for the general population to tear us down, but for us to tear each other down is absolutely not acceptable today. So just on that theme, so how do you see men leaders reacting differently to you in the spaces that you occupy? Especially when you are at the head of the table.
Yeah, trust me, I've seen, as we've gotten more women in the Senate, it's definitely a different reaction. I mean, I think that, I'm not gonna say. Let's just say, women need to be educated, for sure, on etiquette, on response, on things that, again, if really hadn't been a lot of women in the Senate, maybe more women is aware of some of the issues. But the more, when you get to be about 24% of the body, then people start paying attention. Now, I've encouraged women, well, we should fight for something that we all believe in. Again, whether it's like funding for women's health, when we ended up with what was called the Year of the Woman in 1992 and elected a bunch of women to Congress, we got a woman on every committee. And then that allowed us to increase the amount of research that went to women's health. A lot of the research at NIH were going to things that were predominantly focused on men, not that we don't care, but the women said, well, what about the research that just affects women? How about getting research dollars for that? And they were able to increase that. So I think you want diversity. And I think now our colleagues see 24% of the Senate, and they immediately just say, well, what do the women think? That's a good thing. That's a good thing. What do the women think? So,
And if they don't ask us what we think, we're probably willing to tell them.
well, I think more importantly, I think they think if they don't fight now, it could be a problem. Right? I think they think, well, we better ask them. We better ask them. And that's important again because there may be issues that we represent that we care about. It could be child nutrition. It could be a whole host of things that we feel very, very passionately about, and we want them to understand why this issue is important.
Well, I think we all bring different experiences and backgrounds to leadership, and we, and it's, I was thinking that I also think it's generational. That my experience at least on Capitol Hill has been that the younger generation of my male colleagues are more accustomed to women being in the workforce, women being in Congress, it's just a different perspective than maybe some of the old guard that's been around longer and did things a certain way for a longer period of time. But it's really exciting right now, I think, to see just different people breaking barriers on Capitol Hill and leading. And for the most part, I still contend that we should treat everyone with respect and dignity and the way way that you treat people is often the way that they treat you back, and you do unto others as you have them do unto you, and it really is showing that respect, but then also earning it, being prepared, doing what, I have found in my own experience that building trust, being somebody that people can trust, and that I do what I say that I'm going to do, that has really led to then earning the trust of my colleagues across the board. Sure. Obviously, I work in a very different environment, and I've been fortunate. My whole professional life has been in the military, and a lot of my formative professional life, was spent kind of at the height of our conflicts overseas. And I will say it was an interesting time to kind of grow up, if you will, as a professional, because it was a great equalizer. Combat is a great equalizer. I've always been in operational environments where it wasn't just about what we said or did on paper, it's what we physically did. And I can tell you when the stakes are high and lives are on the line, you really figure out who you can trust and you can't, and you really realize, I said earlier that diversity is naturally occurring. You realize that the people that you can trust in combat are a very diverse group of people, and people that that you may not want to rely on. And so I've been very fortunate to go from kind of that environment into the NASA environment, where it's an operational environment. You have a lot of opportunities to kind of show up, and exactly what Congresswoman just said. When you show up and you hold your weight, and you show up every day as part of the team, you get the respect back that you're willing to give. I think a couple things really play into that. One is self-awareness. Self-awareness is so critical. It became critical for my confidence, and I realized that self-awareness is not knowing the 99% of all things about your job that you know. It's actually more critical that you really, really understand what you don't know. Know what you bring to the table, but know what you don't bring to the table. And I realized that when I was, really trying to actually, prove myself in, my 20s, early 30s, I kept trying to prove myself, but there was always that part of me that was nervous about failing because I hadn't really dug into and put a microscope on that part that I probably couldn't do. And then, you get the self-awareness piece sometime, I don't know, in the 30s, late 30s, where you go, oh, wait a minute, I can't do it all. Like, let me really take a microscope and look at what I can't do and become really aware of that. And you become really not afraid of it. People say, like, how do you sit in public speak? It's because if you ask me something I don't know, I'm just going to say I don't know. 10 years ago, I would have been like, I'm going to be so scared that you're going to ask me something. So you have to be confident in the things that you don't know, as well as things that you do. And when you bring that self-awareness and that confidence to a team, your leaders will respect that back.
Absolutely. So, it's so fascinating. She's up in space for that long time. I can't be on an airplane for 2 hours without getting paranoid. When are we going to land? So really what I'm hearing is a real cultural shift in many of these spaces. But I think for women, foundational is relationships. And women, men do too, but women really value relationships. We work hard at it, and it is work. We all know to maintain relationships is not just, oh, hi, Kathy, how are you doing? Good to see you. And it's been a year. We know we have to invest in those relationships, and we pour into them, because when we make a call, and women love to call each other, all the women out there know that, who raise money, and who are Women of the Year, you've got women friends that you call probably to help you accomplish what you have accomplished in your organization. But Anne and I talked about this. Anne and I want to talk about burnout. Anne said burnout. Anne says, ask me about burnout. I said, Anne, I'm going to ask you about burnout. So, Anne, take me there.
It was a great conversation we were having about burnout. So, we talked about some of the positive traits that women have that make us naturally sometimes great leaders and empathetic leaders. But there's also these other traits that I think are inherent to women, and this is not exclusive to women. There are men out here, they're non-binary out here, they're going to say, hey, that's me too. And so I'm speaking to all of us that maybe feel like this. And that is kind of a need to, like, there's a little piece of us that, like, isn't quite sure if we should be sitting at the table, but, like, there is still that part of us that, like, has a little bit of imposter
syndrome, I still get it. You know, at the table I go, I'm like, okay, should I be here right now? Am I actually in this blue white suit? Does somebody trust me to fly a spaceship? And so that bit of imposter syndrome can make us seek out validation that we're doing well enough. And this is kind of, the term would be codependency, right? Like where our own insecurity makes us seek out relationships where we're needed, and that makes us really good at motherhood, natural fit for those of us that tend to be a little more codependent, makes us really good at leadership. But what it does is it also prevents us from setting really good boundaries around our own health and leadership. And so we constantly are seeking that feedback that what we're doing is good, and oh, I can see 1,000 things that need to be fixed, and I'm going to fix every single one of them, instead of going, hey, I can actually pull back here a little bit. My personal time matters. I'm allowed to have a life on the side. And so at some point I realized, like, you don't have to do the extra credit for your whole life. You do if you're still in school. That'll get you where you want to go, but at some point you pull the throttle back, as we say, right? And show it, because you're going to be better at what you have, but you're also allowed to be content. You're allowed to seek out that balance and just be happy.
Yeah.
Anyway, I just appreciate what you just had to say, and I think I've had a similar experience, and I've gotten to this place where, you know, I'm not going to fix it all, and there's always more on the to-do list. There's always more people to meet than time permits, and so making sure that I am in a good place myself, doing those things that fill me up so that I have more to give. Because when you're running around on empty, then you don't have a lot to give. And I think setting those boundaries and really making sure that every day you're doing those things that are going to keep your foundation strong and fill you up so that you can have more to give to your own family and then to everyone else. I think that was really good. Appreciate that. Absolutely.
Well, I want to say, I don't think, I talk to a lot of groups, talk to a lot of young women. I've never had a young man ask me about imposter syndrome. Now, I'm not saying they don't think it, but they never ask about it. And we have to ask ourselves why young women ask this too much. So I'm asking all of you young women who are here tonight, our nation needs you. You have something to offer. Here's an example of someone from your own community and she's stepping up. So I'm saying seize the day. And if you need to think about these characteristics about, as Anne was saying, how you curtail it or throttle it back, or have both aspects of career and family, all good. But don't hesitate to think that you can lead, that you have good ideas, and that you can help our society move forward in the future. We're counting on you. Was that a challenge? I equate it to sports. I think guys play sports and I think they're aggressive. They learn how to be aggressive when they're young, and they know how to compete, and they don't think about it as second nature, and they just get in there. And I think the girls who may not play sports or not, but I'm asked too often for the most talented group of, literally the Jackson Institute that is at the Utah, that's the foundation named after Scoop Jackson that looks at foreign policy and leadership. These are the most talented people. You can't get into that master's program if you're not talented. And these young women will come in and say, well, what about imposter syndrome? They literally, it's just part of this. We just have to help women stand up and lead. And again, we need the diversity, we need the ideas. But I do think that maybe that we haven't just gotten enough training. So I want them to know our nation needs them.
Absolutely, absolutely. Thank you. I spoke with Anne about burnout. We were just talking.
Let's see if you go.
Okay, so I just want to comment.
No, you can go.
No, Rob. You don't see how he likes to any boundaries, but I realize the power of no. Yes, I am inspired and I will go forward, but I realize that if I don't get out of the way, then I am blocking somebody behind me. And that's something I think we have to be cognizant of. It's like, this is my time, Betsy has served, I hope I am priming the pump for somebody, but if I'm gonna be here for 50 years, where will the opportunity for that woman be if I don't move on and make space for her?
Well, we have probably 20 more questions from high school students. We're not going to get to all of them. So this has been a really great conversation. But I got to tell you why they're all here, because you're really, if you love them now, you're about to love them even more in a second. So we started Women of the Year, our version of Women of the Year in 2019, because we wanted to honor women who were just going out and kicking butt, but didn't care that anyone knew. And we were kind of tired of no one knowing that they were really doing amazing work. So the very first year, I reached out to a friend of mine who was the highest ranking woman in Google and then in Twitter. And I said, well, I mean, it wouldn't be a good job now, but it was a good enough job. And I said, I need you to come here because I need you to help me pack a theater because I need these women to know what it feels like when 500 people give them a standing ovation. And she said, I'm there. I had that exact same conversation with all 4 of these women, and they're like, we're there. They were here because they wanted to be there. So I want to introduce this year's winners and then take a group photo with everybody. And so can we get the house lights up? So I'm going to ask all of this year's winners to come up here at all at once, and I am going to introduce them all at once. Okay. And then can I get Kurt from Bank of America to come up as well? So can we get all of the ladies to come up, all of them, please? And Kurt?
So much. It's just an honor for us to be here, and I've got to tell you, I am just. Get real close. How's that? Really? Thank you. It's an honor to be here, and I just gotta say, I'm humbled to be even on the stage with all of you and these leaders that are here tonight. So can we just get one more? I've been with Bank of America myself for 38 years, and I can tell you honestly that I would not be in the position that I'm in if I didn't have a strong women leaders ahead of me that gave me the opportunity. The job that I have today is because I had a strong leader in front of me, a woman that gave me the opportunity, and I'm humbled and honored to be part of that. And so again, it's just an honor to be here. Thank you. You know, and I mean, yeah, Bank of America is a global company. We have 200,000 people across the country, and yeah, we're a diverse organization, but we can always do better. We're going to continue to do better. About 50% of our workforce is women. About 49% of that is people of color, but we still have more work to do. And it's not just about being a diverse organization. And I hope you saw in the video, you know, we asked that question, what would you like the power to do? And then we want to take that and have the opportunity to give back and use the resources that we have to advance things like women's initiatives in the community. other things. And I will tell you, Betsy, I had a great relationship with Betsy. We met each other about 3 years ago. She's an advocate, she's an activist, and she's an agitator. And she called me and said, "You need to do more." And I said, "You know what, Betsy, you're absolutely right. We need to do more, and we will do more." So it's my pleasure to also just introduce to you Sarah Desitel. Sarah is our new market executive for our marketing in Spokane and Boise, who's going to work with me and the rest of our leadership team at Bank of America to really do more, to advance more around women's issues, racial equality, social justice, and economic mobility for all. So, Sarah.
Thank you, Claire. As a woman and as an enrolled tribal member, representation matters a lot to me. And like many of us, it is important to me that I work for an organization that cares about people of all backgrounds, races, and perspectives. And I am grateful to represent an organization that practices social responsibility through a clear and authentic commitment to diversity and inclusion, and a belief that everyone deserves economic opportunity. Bank of America is making meaningful steps to drive diverse representation at all levels of the company, where employees are encouraged to bring their whole selves to work and providing equal access to opportunities regardless of differences. We do this because it's the right thing to do, and we think it's good for business. Bank of America embraces its role it plays influencing and driving change around gender and racial equality and economic opportunity in the communities where we live and work, by investing in the people we serve through programs and partnerships that address complex societal challenges. This includes a wonderful nonprofit partner we are proud to support called Transitions, which is working to end poverty and homelessness for women and children in Spokane. We are also pleased to invest in several programs and initiatives dedicated to women in the workforce, sponsorships for area chambers of commerce, community colleges, community centers, and grant awards for nonprofit organizations tackling basic needs such as food insecurity, workforce development, and promoting economic mobility for historically marginalized populations.
You need to know Sarah.
I think most of you know this, but we have the only paid high school journalism internship in the country, and it's funded by Bank of America. We were asked how do we create meaningful jobs for high school students, and that meaningful job included many of these women up here spending time with our interns this summer. I mean, it's less of an internship and more of like Rob camp. So thank you so much for doing that. So I want to introduce our winners this year. So, let's see, Elaine Alexander. Carlos Cicero. Sherry Knox. Christy Wood. Rain comes at night. Emily Peterson. Judith Heaton. Trisha Hughes. We have one winner who couldn't be here this evening, but we're going to honor her anyway. Wilhelmina Williams.